don't know about you, but sometimes we can go through phases of maybe feeling a bit skeptical, or that we don't necessarily believe in magic, or we doubt that it can actually happen. So I wanted to talk about some simple ways that can help you to believe in magic, and I thought I'd share some footage. I was out on a walk the other day. I find nature to be a really magical place to be anyway. It's just beautiful. So I hope you enjoy the visuals that I share with you. The first thing I think to bear in mind is that skepticism is healthy. There are some parts of me that love to dive into magic and immerse myself in that world, and there are other parts that I'm doubtful about and I prefer to stand back from it. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, but I do find it frustrating for myself. There's part of me that thinks, why can't you just believe? And I get frustrated with the skeptic part. But the more I've kind of thought about it, I've realised that the skeptic part of myself serves a useful purpose. The skeptic can help to protect us. It helps us to keep questioning, not to take things at face value, not to accept things blindly, but to get us to think critically about something. And there might be things where there is no quote unquote logical explanation for what we witness and what we experience. That doesn't mean to say it's not true, but I suppose I use the term logical in the sense of maybe that we can prove. A lot of what we see in the culture is that things have to be provable by science and evidence and things like that, and sometimes there isn't any proof. But that doesn't mean to say it's not real. But I do think the skeptical aspect of us is healthy. It leads us to inquire more deeply and to think about whether something does resonate with us. It helps us to investigating things further and seeing how they fit with us. That's all part of the process of growing into our magic, and also, I guess, parts of spiritual practice if you do have one. And in fact, there are times where I've dropped my spiritual practices because the skeptic part of me did take over. Maybe I wasn't seeing signs or picking up on things where my practice was actually benefiting me, and the skeptic part took over, and I ended up stopping spiritual practices quite a number of times before I realised that actually I needed to embrace that skeptic part of me, allow it to be there, but not allow it to just wipe out all the things that I was doing. The next tip I would give to help you believe in magic is to develop beliefs on your terms. So what I mean by that is people have different beliefs about working with deities. Some people see deities as separate entities. Other people might see them as aspects of themselves or archetypes, or beliefs about divination such as tarot, how that works. Is it a spirit that's guiding the cards, or is there something else going on? I think our beliefs can evolve over time, but at each stage, I think it's about deciding what it means for you. Taking other people's beliefs into account isn't a bad thing. We can get a lot of inspiration from what other people believe and what they share. But I do think we need to take responsibility and think about, well, what do I believe? Do I agree with that person when they say that deities are archetypes, or do I actually believe that this deity that I'm working with is a separate entity? I'm very much somebody who has really struggled with accepting that I'm probably not going to find the ultimate truth about anything. But also, I've come to recognise, does it really matter? If I work with a deity and I believe that that deity represents an aspect of myself that I'm tapping into, and I find that that works for me, does it really matter if someone else is working with a deity as a separate entity and that works for them? Why does it matter? Beliefs are very powerful, and if your belief in your magic and your spiritual or devotional practices works for you, then that's great. I don't think we need to get caught up in the weeds of what other people are doing and thinking that maybe we're doing something wrong because we don't believe in the same or similar things. Another tip I have is to put down the books and experiment. I spent a lot of time reading, and I love reading, don't get me wrong, and I think reading is good. It's good to find out about different approaches and different systems of magic, what other people do. But also I think if you really want to strengthen your belief in magic, you have to do it. You have to put the books down and start practicing. I used to hold the belief that I couldn't practice magic, that it wasn't for me, that other people were far more talented and therefore it was for them. I guess I just saw myself as too ordinary a person to be able to practice it. But then I realised that there are lots of quote unquote ordinary people in the world practicing magic, and that opened the doors for me. And in fact, it was actually a video by Denny at Foolish Fish. He was talking about the Gallery of Magic books. and how they can be a way in to start practicing magic very quickly, and it's very simple. You don't need to learn about any elaborate systems. And I would agree with him, that's how I got into it. I started off using the Magical Cash book and I got results from it, and then my desire to read more and learn more about the different systems grew from there, and that's where it's grown from. So I think when you take that first small step, hopefully it will then create the momentum for you to carry on practicing and reinforcing that belief and that connection with magic. The next tip is to find out what's true for you. And like I alluded to earlier, I have a bit of a thing about finding out the truth. For the last few decades of my life, I've wanted to know what the truth is. I had some experiences as a child that pointed me to the fact that there was more than just this material reality out there. There was something else. And ever since that time, that was when I was around 13, ever since that time I've been wanting to find out what that is, and I don't think I've got any closer to it, and it's been really frustrating. But I'm coming to the acceptance that I will probably never find out what the truth is, but that I can connect with what feels true for me, and that's okay. And what my beliefs and my truths are may not be the same as other people's. That doesn't diminish my truths or my beliefs, and it doesn't diminish the other person's. I think if we strive to find out the ultimate truth, we may continually be disappointed. But tune in to what feels true for you. That's the thing. What feels true for you? What feels true in your beliefs, in terms of your magic, and also in terms of, if you're interested in that sort of thing, where we fit into the grand scheme of things, why we're here and what all this is about. Even if you don't come to a definitive place with that, just being curious about that, because I think that all fits in with magic. What are these different realms that are out there, and where does magic fit in with that? What realms are the beings that we work with? What realms are they in? And I think it can get tricky when we see people on the internet maybe feeling like they're gatekeepers for certain forms of magic. By all means, like I say, take inspiration from others, but don't fixate on what other people are doing. Find out what is true for you. My mistake at the beginning, I guess, of my magical journey and also my spiritual practice and devotional practice was I think I hung too much on what other people were saying. I took inspiration, but then I felt that if I didn't experience similar things to these other people, that I was somehow unworthy of doing magic, or I was doing it wrong. I now know that that is not the case. I will have my own experiences, and I also now appreciate that other people have different experiences. And isn't it wonderful that we all do? I hope this has been a helpful video. I hope it's given you some useful tips about how you can strengthen your belief in magic, and I hope you enjoyed the visuals of nature, that magical place that just is, isn't it? Just does its own thing, and it's absolutely perfect in the way it does it. Thank you so much for being here, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.